since our first ever event back in 2012, the gaming industry has absolutely exploded. But there still seems to be very little information out there about the industry itself and how to get on, or how to get on as a gamer or a streamer or a creator or someone who's interested in getting into the gaming industry or upskilling in the gaming industry. So Step Forward, the Gaming Masters Academy. It's a series of virtual events. It's designed to help build a foundation for anyone interested in the gaming business to learn and upskill, as I said before. And this is through the mentorship and knowledge sharing of some really amazing global industry icons who happen to also be our friends. So it's the business of gaming taught here by the gaming business. Throughout the series, we're covering a wide range of topics: event production, understanding data, how to work with brands. It's about this time I like to have a Coke Zero. Legal matters, for when they sue me for saying that. Health matters, so how players should be treated as athletes. The metaverse, NFTs, Web3s, all those really cool things there. And today we are looking at one of the most interesting and certainly important of all topics, and that's how to build a community and fan base, because you need one. And what a lineup we have. We've had 2 great speakers this morning. So this afternoon, we're going to meet 3 more great speakers, but also we want to hear from you. Who are you? Where are you? What are you doing? And ask me questions or give me questions to ask our wonderful speakers. If you're looking at building your fan bases and your communities, what a great opportunity to ask these 3 wonderful speakers. In a minute, I'm going to introduce you to them, but first, I want to say a couple of thank yous. You'll notice that the Gaming Masters Academy is free to attend, and that is 100% thanks to our wonderful sponsors and partners, Twitch, Singtel, and the Global Esports Federation. So thank you from us to you. And thank you who are joining from the World Wide Web land. As I said, please do get those questions in. We want to make this as interactive as possible. On with the show. It's time to level up and answer the question: how do I build a fan base and connect with my communities, and what does it take for me to succeed? Let's see the speakers. In a minute, we're going to meet with Denise Teo, otherwise known as supercatkei, one of Asia's leading streamers. Plus, we're then going to meet with Hisham Shaheen, the CEO of Ninjas in Pyjamas. But first, we're going to say hello to Lewis Mitchell, who is the Director of Content from Twitch. Lewis, welcome to the Gaming Matters Academy. Please tell me, what does the global head of content for, sorry, what does the head of content for Asia Pacific do for Twitch? And then what was your first game? And then what does your family think you actually do for a living?
All good questions. Hello to everyone to begin with. First of all, probably just in case anyone doesn't know what it is, and we can give a quick overview, let's talk about what Twitch is. And it is predominantly a live streaming service where millions of people come to build their own communities on their own channels and hang out, essentially, put forward the content they want to put forward. And then how do I fit in, and how does my team fit in? Well, we are the partnerships and content team. So what we do is really 3 different things. Number one is we look for talent that could work really well on Twitch, and we think that our audience would love it. They just need a little bit of development. They need to be pointed in the right direction, tips and tricks, pointers here and there. The second is we look at talent that already exists on Twitch and what we need to do to develop them, and how we can help them either build their brand. Some of it is very basic information, all the way up to some complex, like, okay, well, what are you thinking about doing next? How are you developing? And then the last is, going outside the realms of Twitch and seeing who out in the world would work really well and would want to come and build a community on Twitch. So from my side, it's all about kind of just identifying those people and making sure that we're giving them the best support possible.
You've got one of those cool jobs, Lewis. I
love it. It's great.
And what do your family think you actually do for a living?
I don't honestly know, to be honest with you. They know. I think it's, you just say I work in games, and then you give them the stats of like, it's bigger than movies and music combined now, and they go, okay, as long as you're happy, and that's lovely. And then Dad very much. I think Dad wanted me to do sport, some form of sport, but it's like, okay, well, this is a slightly different venture. So here we are. But yeah, it's so good to help with people and help see creators develop on the platform.
Fantastic. Well, thank you again for giving up your time today. You mentioned a lot of about the streamers that you work with. What are the types of streamers that have joined the platform, and have you seen any success from them?
There's so many variations of people that have come, especially the last couple of years of the pandemic, where people have really wanted to have a look into it and investigate what they can do and how they can produce live content. In terms of success, it's always a really big question, because it is an entertainment world, and it's kind of one of those, well, what are you wanting to put out into the world? What sort of community are you looking to build yourself? Are you looking to chill and have a really nice close community? Are you looking to have the most viewers in the world? Are you looking to be zany and wacky and create? There are some people that have done live quiz shows, and everything's going on the screen, and they're inviting people that just want to come in and meme as much as possible. There's other people that just you're going to see a bit later, but Denise has a guitar, and it's a really chill, relaxed, lovely environment. So like anything, there's content that you want to put out, you want to put yourself out, but there's different content for those different communities. What do I feel like at that point in time? So in terms of success, it's really, what is success to the creator? What's success to your community? Because I would say that some people are really happy like hitting 200 to 300 viewers and sitting around there and say, I just love to hang out with these people each night. And some people even less than that. It's like, I just want to, put out the best possible content, and I want to come up with these new ideas and try them out. And I think that's honestly one of the biggest things that I'd love to see, is when people stop trying to just put out these massive goals that maybe, you're not thinking about the steps to get to get to that goal, but really take a step back and go, what is actually going to make me happy putting this content together? How am I, constructing everything so that I'm inviting the best possible community that fits in with my style?
So how does one measure success? Is it simply by the number of followers I have, or also how long does it take to achieve that success? Is it all kind of in a book somewhere?
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. So I don't think there's a number that you can put on success, because ultimately it's about your community, and it's about the people that you want to surround yourself with. So success to you is, I create. There are some people that just play GeoGuessr every night, and they sit there and they just want to play Wordle with their community. They just want to play GeoGuessr. They want to have an intimate conversation, and that is success to them. And so when they're looking at putting their goals together, we'll always turn around and say, well, don't look at you want your 3,000 followers, because you can't control 3,000 people. What you need to be doing is going, well, actually, I want to be playing GeoGuessr with my community every night. I want people that everyone in the community can hang out with, and then when I finish going live, that I can share my community with another really great creator that I love. And that is how we deem success with people. And I think it is one of the biggest misconceptions of like, just go for the numbers. It's really like, if you're not putting out the art and the work that you want to put out there, you're not going to bring back the people that you want. So it's about trying to change that mind and helping them find that.
And there's other people tuning in to this session who are new to the whole concept of streaming and stuff. And so for people who want to debut on Twitch, is there any advice you could give them? How do you start?
I mean, like anything, like in anything that has a precedence of, there have been people live streaming for years now. We've just celebrated our 10th birthday. First of all, see what you like. What other creators are you attracted to? What do you like about them? And have a look at and deconstruct what it is that really entertains you, or really, attracts you to that particular type of content. Obviously, don't copy, because you need to actually put your own personality into things. But I think deconstructing what other people do that is attractive is the first place you start. Look at best practices. We have we have an entire hub site called Creator Camp that you can go onto, and it shows you like, hey, setting up alerts. This is how you even just like put your settings together so that you can understand the what the best quality stream that you can get out of your internet, all the way up to how do you build your brand. And also, like, start small, but also just start. That would be the other thing. It's like there's a lot of people that get in their own heads and kind of go, I want this to be perfect and I need this exact graphic to be here and everything needs to be perfect. It's like, honestly, people just want to hang out with authentic people. And you're going to hear that word a lot in the world of Twitch. It's like, I just want to hang out with people that I'd love to go for a beer with. And it's like, just start. And it's amazing how you can just get that conversation going, get used to it, get more relaxed. And all of the fancy bells and whistles come along with it later on.
So we've had our first question from the internet. Yep. This is from Bettina Frolich, and I hope I got your surname correctly there, Bettina. Now, you mentioned, Lewis, earlier that you work with streamers across different genres. Do you have streamers in the luxury field? And she's also followed up with another question, so you get 2 for 1. Are there live shopping opportunities on Twitch?
I mean, in terms of the luxury field, we've worked with brands like Gucci. So yeah, absolutely. I mean, you look at a lot of our audience, it's millennials. And people still think millennials are like the 20-year-old picking their noses. It's like, actually, like, I'm a millennial, I'm 35 years old. So absolutely, we fit into that sort of age bracket. In terms of the live shopping side of things, I think it's definitely something that we want to keep looking into and talking about. You know, we're owned by Amazon, which is one of the biggest e-commerce, if not the biggest e-commerce site in the world. So there's definitely opportunities there. I think it's just keep having those conversations and see where we end up.
Thanks for the question, Bettina. Anyone else who has questions, please get them in. I'm seeing on our feed there's a lot of emoji. There's a lot of icons being thrown up. Final question for you, Lewis, before we say hello to Denise. But what's your, in all the time you've worked there, what's your favorite success story on Twitch?
Oh, that's a good question. There are, I know this is kind of one of those, like, trying to pick my favorite kids, but there's a lot of really good ones. There's a Paralympic gold medalist, but even like to the point of there are single mums that are using Twitch as the way that they're raising their family and able to support their family. I will actually give an example. I won't cop out. One of my favorite is during the pandemic, there's a New Zealand woodcarver called Brox, tribal wood carving, beautiful pieces, who worked for the tourism board in New Zealand. Unfortunately, was let go, started sharing his woodworking and his carving on Twitch. Ended up going, there was a clip of his that went absolutely bananas and is now he's using that in his way to support his new family. And this is a guy that just used to love playing World of Warcraft. It's just like, you know what, I'm going to just try sharing my wood carving as well.
I think we profiled him a couple of years ago as well. So it's great that he's still going. And I've just seen there's a comment from Rising Flames. I'm a millennial. Whoa. Yes, you are, Rising
yeah,
Flames.
You are.
Try being a baby boomer, though. So Lewis, thank you so much for joining. You're going to come back now. You're going to get whisked off into a little back room. You're going to come back, and everyone can ask you even more questions. So we are now going to say hello to Denise Teo, otherwise known as supercatkei. Denise, thank you so much for joining us. You are one of Singapore's and Asia's top live streamers. You cover gaming, fashion, music, and more. But tell us a little bit more about you. Who are you? Where are you? Where does the name supercatkei come from? And I've said you're a streamer, but what do your family think that is?
Thanks, Jasper, and thank you so much for having me. Hi, everyone. My name is Denise. I am also known as supercatkei on the internet. And just really quickly, that name actually came about because many years ago, when I was a small little kid, I used to wear this shirt really often. I have it here. My chat thinks it's like prized possession now, but this shirt basically just says, I'm your superhero, and it has a cat with a cape on it. I used to wear it so often, and then my friend just looked at it and was like, oh, super cat. So that is literally how my name came about. And the K in my name is actually just my Cantonese name, which is Kake. So that's kind of how the whole name formed. Prior to being a live streamer, I was working in startups. I was actually building startups in Singapore and in New York for 2.5 years. But because of the pandemic, I came back to Singapore, and then also to my love for video games. So that's how I really kind of stumbled onto Twitch, and one day just decided, why not just go live, make some friends? I just want to play some Apex Legends and have fun. And the journey kind of just spiraled from there. So that's a bit about me. My parents, they now they know my job. Um but before that, they just thought I was playing video games, which is totally fine.
We'll come in. We'll come back to career questions actually, because it's interesting that a lot of families don't think that gaming is a credible career. But when was your first big break? You started making videos. How did you go from a few subscribers to a lot of attention?
I think we've had many different milestones, I would think, throughout my 1.5 years in live streaming. But I would like to think that that big pivotal moment was actually end 2020 in December. We decided to do this little event for the community, and I called it Camus, on taking Christmas but adding my name to it. And the idea was to basically kind of throw a little celebration every single stream for the month of December to celebrate the spirit of Christmas with all of the viewers and the community. And we did giveaways, we had different collaborations, we did our first ever charity stream to support mental health organizations in Singapore, and that just garnered so much love and support from the community that I have never seen before. I never thought I would be able to, be part or to lead something like that into fruition. So after that happened, I was like, oh, I think there's a lot of potential in what this could be, not just for myself, but for the community. So everything just kind of took off from there. We had some really great opportunities along the way that really brought us to this point.
That's fantastic. And Camus. So we're gonna have to think of more names with K in it. And by the way, we're getting so many emojis on our Twitch channel right now. So all of your friends out there, please, if you have any questions for Denise, please do get them in. So how are you? I mean, it's been quite a short space of time, which is not a new it's not a new thing at all. But how are you building? How are you continuing to build those communities?
I think we do quite a few different things. So I think apart from, these little events that we do run every once in a while, every couple of months, we also try to always consider or to think about where the community is at in this current moment of their lives, and what we can offer them. So a really simple example that I love sharing is that I was having a casual stream, I think almost a year ago, and we just finished playing some games, no biggie, but we ended up just chatting with the viewers. And one of them just asked, how do you deal with mental health? Because I'm not in too good of a space and I don't really, things have been tough. And this was when COVID was, at its peak. And the other chatters were like, yeah, me too. Yeah, this is tough. I don't know anything about, how to take care of myself mentally. And I just saw that as such a like an opportunity, to use our platform and to kind of help them in their journey as they're growing through this very ridiculous time. Like nobody knows what we're doing essentially. And so I decided to bring on a therapist onto my stream for 2 months or 3 months, I think. And we did monthly podcasts answering very basic questions, from like, how can you take care of yourself? What are some things that you can do to, promote self-care in your day-to-day life, and to even a little bit more difficult questions. And that was it's these small things that we do that actually really build the community. They feel like, hey, we're heard, and like, the streamer listens to us, the streamer is taking care of us. And at the end of the day, my job is to just let the viewers know that we're growing alongside them. I'm also trying to provide more opportunities for the viewers to kind of lead or to step up or to take ownership in different things or in different parts of the community. So, for example, in our Discord community, we have about 3,500 members in the Discord, and we run bi monthly community events. And we're encouraging or empowering our members to essentially take charge and to run any events that they would like to. We give them the platform, we provide them the support, and we just let them do it. And hopefully they grow in that process. These are just some really small things, but I think important things that might help them along the way and to strengthen the community.
So you're being useful.
I hope so. I hope so, Jasper. I hope I'm useful.
Yeah, I mean, it's a conversation, right? I mean, you're not just you're not just saying here's what I'm doing, and you're actually, it's a two-way conversation, and beyond that, you're helping. That's amazing. I had the hairs in the back of my head was sticking up when we were saying that, and we are doing a session on mental health and well-being later in the series, and we will probably get you back to help on that one, because the internet can be tough, right? And
Yeah.
certainly when we've worked with hundreds of creators, and I've seen that a lot of them do get stressed because they're trying to grow their communities, or you work with musicians and they put out what they think is the greatest song ever written, but maybe they don't get the results in terms of views or likes or streams and stuff, and that hurts them. And so to be able to help them in the way that you're saying is absolutely amazing. Just talking about music and change the subject a little bit, we've had a question from, I'm going to read this as Nothing BMS. When's your album coming?
The viewers have been asking for a while, but for context, I actually started singing again because I came onto Twitch. I actually stopped singing for many years. And because the viewers actually encouraged me to sing more, I brought it back. So on the topic of mental health as well, I actually wrote, the only song I've ever written was actually about anxiety and panic attacks, and kind of like a little note to myself, that in these panic attacks, or in these moments of anxiety, you can feel safe. So the chat's been, pestering me to kind of make that into like a proper song or EP that can go on the different streaming platforms. But that's still a process. It's still a process.
That's absolutely amazing. So we're going to get you back for the health and well-being session, and we're going to get you to come and sing at Music Matters as well. So basically, I'm just trying to work out how many hats you wear that cross over. We talked about careers, and we're going to talk with the team about careers as well. But working in the streaming as a streamer, what's the best as a career? What's the best advice you've ever had?
To be honest, and this is going to sound quite cliche, I think the best advice I've ever gotten is to really just stay true to yourself and to your values. I think so much there's been so many times in this entire journey where, I've seen different people achieve different metrics of success. Different people know how to get views, different people know how to get more subs, or more followers and things like that. And then I often have to check in with myself and ask myself, is that how I want to do certain things? Does it align with my values? Because once you stray away from your own values, there's almost no turning back. And I think that, if anyone is interested to, be in the streaming industry, or as a content creator, or to work with streamers, I think it's important to know who you are as a person, know what you believe in, know what you stand for, and if that's really solid, nothing can shake you, and you can just go on your merry way.
Fantastic. So Denise, I'm going to ask you one more question before we say hello to Hisham. But how is your audience evolving, and what do you do to answer them and stay current? I mean, I know you talked about doing stuff for them, but how are you also in yourself growing, and staying current with them?
Yeah, I'm always trying to just figure out what is happening, especially in the streaming space. I think when I first joined Twitch, it was, especially in the Singapore scene, it was a lot smaller. And then once COVID took off, everything started growing. Everyone was on Twitch. And the only thing I know how to do best is to just offer support to each other in any way possible. So as much as I can, I'm reaching out to different streamers, seeing if I can support them. I've done a few workshops or mentoring for younger aspiring streamers, who want to, achieve some form of success in their careers. And in terms of the community, I send out a lot of feedback forms. They know I love sending out feedback forms, like Google forms, and be like, hey, how are y'all feeling? Could you tell me what's happening in your life? I want to know. It's just all these little random things, but I think it works. I think it helps.
That's amazing. I mean, you're the first creator streamer I've ever heard of that actually physically goes out and gets feedback forms, because you can get feedback from the comments and what have you. We've had a nice Rising Flame seems to think you have an obsession with Google Forms, but she's also made it clear that they remind you when to eat on time and to rest.
Yeah.
So Denise, look, thank you so much. You're not going away. You're just going to get into the little back room there, and we're going to come back and talk to you as a group. But thank you so much for joining the Gaming Masters Academy today. Up next, we are going to go to Europe to Hisham Shaheen, the CEO of Ninjas in Pyjamas, the legendary esports company, otherwise known as NIP, which is also the name of our producer. I had to get that in. It's recognized as one of the best, largest, most renowned professional esports brands in the world, and is a founding member of the World Esports Association, where Hisham is a member of the executive board. Also a co-founder of the recently announced Shinobi Sports. We're going to chat about that soon. So Hisham, thank you so much for joining us. Where are you in the world today? What do you actually do for a living, and what does your family think that is?
Thank you for having me, Jasper. I am in Stockholm, and it is getting warmer, so we're all happy about that. When it comes to what I do a lot of different things. Mainly, if you want to classify my role at NIP, it's more responsible for vision, mission, brand, long-term strategy, and what we do. Shinobi being one of those strategic initiatives that we recently announced. What my parents think I do, I can say it's different. If you look at friends and family, parents, and everyone, when I left for esports in 2015, everyone looked like question marks. But over the last 5-6 years, with esports growing, NIP getting more traction and recognition, everyone starts to get it. The best way I explain it to them is look at it as any Premier League club. It's fans, communities. We play video games instead of the gameplay being football when people go to the stadium. So we activate around that. So that is the simplest way to explain it to them. And after 5 years of trying to convince and shove it in, I found that was the easiest way for them to get to some perspective of what it is.
Fantastic. And so tell us a little bit more about, for those who don't, obviously you're one of the biggest esports brands in the world, but for those who don't necessarily know that much about Ninjas in Pyjamas, because we do have a lot of people wanting to learn about gaming here. Tell us a little bit more about the brand, but also what kind of gamers and streamers do you work with? And then I'm going to have to ask the question, but where did the name come from?
Yeah. Okay. Remind me of the last part in case I forget. But if you look at NIP from a bird's perspective, NIP was founded in 2000. So it's over 20 years of history as a brand. Now the brand has come and gone with the years. So the first iteration of it was 2000 to 2008. That was a time where esports and gaming wasn't an industry you can live off. So it was shut down, and then it was brought back to life in 2012-13, and has existed since then. So if you look at NIP as a company, it is about 250, 300 people, including the Chinese operation. Follower base exceeds 25 million, reaches around 500 million people per year. From an operational perspective, and what we do is, obviously, we're mostly known for esports, being one of the most iconic and legendary brands in the world. But the strategy is very simple. We're going to be present in every single large esports titles in the largest market for that title. So if you look at Counter-Strike, that is based in Europe. If you look at FIFA, that's based in Europe. If you look at League of Legends, that is based in China, that being the largest and most competitive region. Valorant and Rainbow Six is based out of our Sao Paulo offices in Brazil. So it's quite a global operation in that sense. And then also we have a lot of strategic initiatives. We own our own sports servicing, content creation, and digital studio in Shinobi, which was done together with Acer Ventures. If you look at the Chinese side, we own an MCN company, which represents around 10,000 live streamers in China. Then we have production studios. We have the live venues, one arena in Shenzhen and one in Wuhan, and the operational production surrounding that. So it's quite broad of what it has been. You can say that NIP was a company that happened by accident. It was just a totally dumb name in the 2000s. The name actually comes from the founders at that time. All esports teams had these very funky, futuristic names, and they just wanted to play a world championship and wanted to come up with the dumbest thing they can come up with. And that was a time where Bananas in Pyjamas, the TV series, the cartoon, was very hot. So that's where it comes. So they just literally switched the bananas to ninjas, and they went with it. And that name resonated very well with the audience. And it is one of those names, when you hear it once, you never forget it, kind of.
Absolutely. I guess one of the next questions is, when do you ever sleep? But that's not for the academy. You mentioned Shinobi Esports. I know that's a recent announcement. And I said earlier, we do a lot with the sports industry, with Sports Matters. So tell us a little bit more about Shinobi.
Yeah. So when we were operating NIP as an esports team, we tend to work a lot with external partners, external brands. Also, as one of the leading players in the esports scene, we felt that we had a responsibility to drive esports forward. And one of those key elements is bringing third-party external brands into esports. And the base idea was born out. We saw there was a lot of sports teams coming into esports, doing it all wrong and getting it all wrong, trying to apply normal sports practices in operating and running esports teams. So the idea spun off as a generic advisory service to the clubs. If you look at Acer Ventures, 11, Andrea Radrazani, which owns it, obviously they own Leeds. They're very well connected in the football world. So we started it initially as an idea to provide advisory to how clubs and third-party groups can get involved in esports, but in the right way, the organic way, the sustainable way. Then that kind of spiraled into Shinobi Studios. What we saw at NIP is essentially what we do is, yes, we run professional teams, but we're also a media house and content production agency in a sense for third-party partners. Many of them are brands and sponsors that we normally engage in. So what we saw there is we're producing all this engaging, high-quality content for partners of NIP, but there's also a world away where there's third-party brands which aren't necessarily connected to NIP, which needs those services. So we decided to set up the studio component. And then finally, and the thing that we have been working very hard and invested a lot in is digital platforms. And then we're talking about Web3 metaverses, where our fan universe is launching in about a month or two, which is coming. And you see a lot of brands attempting that. The barriers to entries are incredibly high in terms of development, cost, understanding, and so on. So we've kind of aggregated the tech and built that in. So it's easy to offer Web3 fan universe activations to third-party brands, which necessarily don't want to spend $5 to $10 million in developing it themselves.
Fantastic. So back to the content. Sorry, the context of today, and we're talking about gamers and streamers. What do you look for in a gamer or a streamer? And to you, are they one and the same thing, or are they very different?
So it is a span, right? From esports athlete, if you want to classify that as a gamer, to content creator, influencer. They're vastly different, right? An influencer, content creator for us is someone like supercatkei, super engaging, super active in terms of nurturing and building a community, engaging, activated, taking a role as a role model, which people look up to and aspire to, but in a casual setting. If you look at the esports gamers or athletes, what we look at there is very often athletic capability and being the best at their game, which in some sense, and you will find unicorns, so not excluding everyone, in some sense you will find them very focused on being the best at the game they compete in and less engaged in building and activated a community because they don't have the span to do that. And that's where we come in as a brand, where we try and aspire to fill that gap in taking these athletes which are best at their games and marketing them and activating them and building a community and brand surrounding them together with agencies or other third parties that are involved with them.
That's a lovely segue into the next question, which is talking about building communities. And so what advice can you give young gamers or streamers to help them build their networks? Yeah.
So I think it's back to what Lewis said earlier. It is about being, and it sounds cliche, right? And supercatkei said it as well. It is about being yourself, but it's also when you get into the space, the streamers, influencers, and pro athletes you watch, you need to remember that many of them have been doing it for 3, 4, 5, 6 years before they succeeded or became known. And that kind of channels into patience, right? You need to be patient, you need to be consistent, you need to be proactive, and don't have the expectancy of that you are very quickly accelerating and making it to the top. You need to go over it for a long time. And if you don't have that mindset going into it, it is very likely that you will abandon it and give it up in terms of coming in, and we see that, right? And I don't know the statistics behind it. Lewis can probably give us that, but there's probably a lot of streaming accounts created, and the amount of time these streaming accounts for people broadcasting being live after 3 to 5 years, that is an interesting statistics. I would suspect there's a lot of people giving up on the way.
And I mean, final question for you before we bring the whole team back. And by the way, everyone who's watching, please do continue to get your questions in. We will ask them. How about working with brands? I mean, there's a whole section. We're doing a whole module on working with brands and how to work with Coca-Cola. But you know, do you think that working with brands actually helps build your community?
It does, absolutely, but it needs to be the right brands. So at NIP, especially, we have been very particular in which brands we decide to partner with. It is very tempting to take in gaming and esports in particular, to take in brands which provide a paycheck rather than assessing if the brands overlap, if there's a joint mission vision, if there's great co-activation opportunities that brings value to the fans and audience and which they will want to enjoy. So if you look at an IP in that case, we have historically had very few sponsors because we have been extremely picky on that aligning, right? And those things needs to align for the activations to be successful. And I would say there's more deals that we pass on that than what we actually expect to go forward with. So it's about being disciplined. It's back to staying, supercatkei said, staying true to yourself. And from a brand perspective, we also very much follow that. If we don't see the brands aligning, it's very likely to be an unsuccessful activation when we engage with third parties.
I recently was very fortunate to interview the Chief Global Creative Officer at Activision Blizzard, and he said for a brand to work within a game or with a gamer, unless they're going to help the end user, forget it.
Exactly.
And I thought that was fascinating. So again, that's a whole separate topic, but very interesting to hear your views on authenticity as well. So Hisham, thank you. Stay there. You're not going to go anywhere. We're going to bring hopefully we're going to see Lewis, and we're going to see Denise. Yes. Okay, so on one half of the screen we have the grey hoodies, and on the other side of the screen we have pink. So
big West Side Story, isn't it? The grey hoodies versus the nuns.
It's a whole game. It's a whole game. So please, thank you so much again for giving us these insights. We've got a little bit of time. We can have a chat with you all. And I'd like to talk not just about streaming now and building communities, but this whole concept of building a credible career in gaming, because a lot of people do struggle to find that credibility. And maybe Lewis, I'll ask you first, but how can we make a career in gaming credible?
I think there's 1,000 examples of it happening now. I guess it also depends on who you're talking to, of where the credibility is coming to. Anyone my age group below, honestly, I think it wouldn't second guess it anymore. It's like, oh, great, you're a streamer, or you're playing for NIP, or you're a pro player in any one of these games. It's not an unheard of thing anymore. So from that perspective, I think the job is done on that side in terms of it is credible, but we just need to keep building that and working. When you're talking about working with brands and credible brands, as we're doing that, the more that are coming into this space. And Hisham, you made a really good point before in terms of working with brands that add something and that are going to help with what you're doing. If that's been the same with any brand coming into any industry, any space. It's like, if you're not actually coming in to help that industry, then it's not going to work, because people are brutally honest, and people, especially in the gaming world, are going to be very honest with you. I would say that ultimately it's happening. It's already credible. It just depends on who you're talking to, and honestly, kind of what age group at this point in time.
It's a very good point. I think it's probably parents. With the feedback we get from a lot of people is that parents, and certainly maybe more around the Asia region, but parents tend to think that someone said earlier today that parents dictate what your career is going to be. And so if you go in and you say, I want to work in the gaming industry, or other industries we work with, sport, music as well, there's a credibility issue there. Hisham, do you find the same in Europe? Do the older generation give gaming credibility?
Back to what we talked about earlier, when I left the hedge fund world to go into gaming, my parents looked at me like a big question mark, right? And did several attempts to convince me to do otherwise. I think that over the last 2 to 3 years in particular, with gaming and esports emerging and getting mainstream traction, that conversation is much easier today to have than back then. Also, we have gone from a world where gaming and esports is moving towards industries which can support people living off of it, which is a big changing point. If you look at it, 2013, that was very difficult, right? So in kind of the trend of that happening and emerging, it's becoming more credible in that sense, I would say, and we see that across the world, right? It's like from our operations in Europe to Brazil and LATAM and into China, you're just seeing that fully across the board.
And Denise, I think I've asked you that question already about the credibility, but and advice and stuff. But how would you measure success in your career, Denise? Is it about the number of subscribers you have? Is it the feed? Is it engagement? What's success look like for you?
Yeah, I think it's really easy for creators to just look at the number of views or the number of followers and all that kind of thing and be like, oh, great, I am successful, or oh no, I am horribly unsuccessful. But the numbers are there for a reason. Personally, for me, I use them as little goals to ensure that I am growing and that I am making progress in what I do. But yeah, like what you mentioned, I think the engagement from the community is really one of my best forms of metrics as well. And just jumping really quickly back to how to make gaming credible. Honestly, having more brands coming on board and, you know, being open to, you know, working with creators like myself in the live streaming space in Singapore or in Southeast Asia is a huge success, in my opinion. You know, more brands are hearing of us. They know that we, you know, you can reach out to us and we do provide different types of results and engagements that, you know, other platforms can't. And that's been something that I've, you know, been very happy and proud of, to really see that growth in the last year, especially in Singapore.
Denise, so this is something that Hisham had said about authenticity and the fact that they turn a lot of brands away. Do you remain? I mean, you're clearly extremely authentic. Do you say yes and no? How do you work with a brand?
Yeah, definitely. I have turned away some pretty enticing deals. And that's just because it just doesn't align, like I mentioned, with, you know, what I believe in and what I want to share with people. I think very often creators or streamers, they don't realize the kind of influence and power that we have with the platform. Whether it's 1,000 people or even 10 people, we're really able to make that sort of impact. So I'm very particular with the brands that I work with. But with the brands that I do work with, we always have like a ton of fun. It's very exciting.
Fantastic. So Lewis, I'm going to come to you on another question here, and that's basically we talked about success and stuff, but where does it all start? What can the small streamers and creators and gamers learn from the big guys? The big people. Sorry to be correct.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of touched on it before, but just seeing what it makes them tick, seeing how they build their content, how do they structure their content, what kind of engagement tools do they use? Like we've got some great tools on Twitch, like channel points. Like how are people using channel points, which is kind of this frequent flyer system that we have. The more people watch, the more points they get. And looking at ways that it's like, well, how do I like to interact with these streamers? What sort of way that would I like to have my community engaging with me? That's always the first place to start. And then the other side is looking at ways to, I would always actually say network with people, especially the same sort of size of you, growing, and trying to find others that are like-minded. Is always a really strong way to actually build those, the muscles of the brainstorming muscles of, have you thought about this? Have you tried this? And you tend to find as well, you have a bit more fun playing with others from time to time.
Hisham, we're talking a lot about engagement now. Is there any advice you can give on engagement? And I will listen to that as well. I mean, I'll definitely write notes on how does one drive more engagement to your channel and within your channel?
It is a super complex question, right? I think that there's a couple of keywords that are relevant, right? And one of them is story and relevancy in terms of providing content or a conversation which the fans care about, they want to engage in, they want to activate in, they want to talk about it. And if you use that as the fundamental basis of what you do, of actually providing something which people want to partake in, that is a good starting point, right? And that can twist into different platforms, different content, different events and activations, and so on. But it's not a one-way conversation as a brand. It's always a two-way conversation. There's a community that you cater to, that feel belonging to you, that want to interact and engage with you. And as long as you drive that conversation in a way that the community care about it, engagement and growth will come.
Fantastic. We're gonna come into the final question in a second because we're almost out of time. Denise, we have had a question though it's actually from a cat called Swipe, and I don't actually understand this question, but hopefully you do. Do you think you should get a wing cat? And if so, what kind would you get?
Is that question just for me?
Yeah.
Wait, am I missing something? What is
I
a
don't
wing?
know what a wing cat is either. I think it's.
Does anyone know what a wing cat is?
Yeah. Okay. So like a wing man, I've been told.
So
Sidekick.
like a
Like you've got a
sidekick
cat behind you. Yes, I
for
think
for streams. I
yes.
think
So
yeah, okay.
should you have a cat with you?
I mean,
Anyway, don't worry. That's a silly question. Look, I want to just this is a question we ask everyone at the end of each session, which is what is really exciting for you all right now, and we'll start with you, Lewis, because we started with you for the whole session. What's exciting? Is it whether it's for Lewis, whether it's for Twitch, whether it's for the industry as a whole? What's really exciting for you right now?
And my favorite thing about Twitch, like content creators, is that we have no idea what someone's going to come up with next. And I love that so much. Like the world of Twitch Plays Pokemon kind of kicked off such a big wave of Twitch viewers. Then you've got people that create, there's literally somebody that creates controllers out of Doritos and Mountain Dew. He's worked out that there's a current that can go through it. So he plays Overwatch with that. Like, the creativity and insanely good conversations and creation that can come out of people that just get given a box of Lego, essentially, which is the streaming world. You get the coolest people coming out of it, and I always love to see what's next.
Hisham, what's exciting for you, for NIP, for the gaming industry as a whole?
For us, it is the blank sheet that we have had for 4 or 5 years to drive and pioneer and evolve an industry, right? That is not going away anytime soon. So we, on our end, that is the most exciting part, right? Back to what Lewis said on the creativity, the innovation, the speed that it moves in. And what is most exciting for me is to see where we are at 3 years from now, with having that continuing unfolding like it has in the previous years.
So basically, everything's exciting.
It's not a boring job.
Answer. What a brilliant answer.
It's not a boring job. You don't know what tomorrow is going to bring, but it's going to be extremely exciting to see what it's going to bring.
It's a new day. So we've heard from the hoodies. Denise, final word from you. What's exciting in supercatkei world?
Apart from everything, similarly to what they both said, but I think it's incredibly exciting, especially in Singapore. That I think everyone is starting to know who we are and what we can bring to the table, and that means that the amount of opportunities that are going to come our way, not just in gaming, but also in food, fashion, luxury, travel, now that the world is opening up, I think there's just so many possibilities. And to be here and to be present for that is so exciting. I just can't wait to see what's going to happen.
What a fantastic answer. All three of you, what a fantastic session. I would love to keep going, but I'm going to be shouted at for going over time. But look, so what we talked about was this whole concept of growing communities and connecting with fans. Do what you love, be your own personality, be authentic. Where's the community and what have you got to offer them, and be alongside them. This was a lovely piece of advice, was to work with them, not just throw stuff at them, but it's a two-way conversation. Be true to yourself. I mean, that's something that comes through in a lot of these conversations, and sticking to your value. Get feedback. What a brilliant idea! And the Google Forms comment there was interesting. Web3, obviously, clearly coming over the hill right now, but it's expensive. But great to hear that NIP has got an offer to be able to help people get into that world. Engagement, we talked about, and how much that matters, and it's really hard. Speaking from experience, getting that engagement is hard. We talked about brands. We talked about credibility. Clearly killed that one, didn't I? We talked about telling stories, relevance, two-way conversations. But to finish, what a great. When people are talking about the credibility of a gaming career, where an industry, everything is exciting, and every day is exciting. So with that, I'd love to say thank you so much. This global session from Australia, Sweden, and Singapore. Thank you, Hisham. Thank you, Lewis. Thank you, Denise. Thank you to Twitch. Thank you to Singtel. Thank you to the Global Esports Federation. And thank you everyone for watching and putting these amazing questions in and these phenomenal emojis everywhere. So thank you for joining the Gaming Matters Academy.